what's up you guys, this is Rob from A Gay Guy Plays, and today I have never slapped on a face of makeup so fast because we have finally gotten our hands on Oberon Prime. I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty sure I've got some foundation in my eyes and everything is looking real blurry right now. But I figured I would go ahead and give you guys a first look to see exactly what we're all getting. I'm gonna be honest with you, I have not looked at any of the data mines, so I don't know. Y'all may know these stats before I did, but I just want to go ahead and make sure that everything's cool. Okay, so as you can see right here, Oberon versus Oberon Prime gets a boost to his armor, 225 nice, and also gets an even bigger boost, well not an even bigger boost, but a boost to his energy as well, which works really well with all of the, with the rest and rage renewal build thing, whatever it is that I made, the build that I made. So that's fantastic. So more energy, more armor, absolutely fantastic. Let's just check sprint speed real quick and make sure that I'm not missing anything, because I think sprint speed is pretty much exactly the same. I always paranoid about that stuff, gotta make sure. Let's go ahead and toss a couple key mods in there so that we can see a few things that we're working with right now. Let's go ahead. Ooh, okay, so we've got 2 V's and 2 dashes, very handy. I still gotta put some D's in there. Gotta put some D's in that bitch. But let's go ahead and see how Steel Fiber plays. So that brings him up to 472, which is pretty fucking nice. And then we'll go ahead and toss on Vitality and Primed Vigor, because you guys know... Oh, actually, I don't even use Steel Fiber in my build. So let's just look at these two and see how these fit. So it looks like we've got, because of the fact that nothing's really changed with his, ooh, that might make me want to change up my build now that he's got 225 armor. We'll revisit that. I'll give you guys a new Oberon build as soon as that comes out, but at least you get to see the polarities and all of that good stuff. I also want to go ahead and give you some of his abilities, like what they all look like. Actually, let's go ahead and jump straight into any fancy bits that I found in his new what is it called? New energy abilities, because you know they always do that for primes. Here I am in the simulacrum, realizing the fact that since Oberon is unranked, I can't actually use any of his abilities. So we gonna have to wait for all of that on the super spectacular video when I got them all customized and shit for you. So I'm sorry about that. I was like, oh, let's take a look, and I was like, oh, too soon. Alright, so now we're back and we are taking a look at the Sybaris Prime versus the Dex Sybaris. So the Dex Sybaris actually has more crit chance and more accuracy, and it's got a faster reload speed. However, the Sybaris Prime has more status, it's got a faster fire rate and a larger magazine, as well as a much larger base damage. So the Dex Sybaris has a base damage of 59.3, with everything leaning a little bit towards slash, while the Sybaris Prime is actually got a 87.9 base damage, with everything spread out fairly evenly and just like 0.9 more in slashing. So that's kind of how that goes. It's interesting. We're gonna have to play with it a little bit more and give you my final feelings on it. It does have a good chunk of status attached to it, so that actually might make it more feasible when you need to strip off armor of something or you need to apply certain statuses, but we'll get back to that in the future. And for those wondering, when it comes to polarities, it's got a built-in V and 2 dash slots, just so that you got a good little base to start with, right? Alright, so moving along to the Silva and Aegis Prime, as you can see, there is green across the board, except for when it comes to its attack speed. Its attack speed actually went down by a good chunk, from 1 to 0.75. Now, basically what this does is, as you can see, there's a big jump in base damage from the Silva and Aegis to the Aegis Prime, but if we're gonna take account, like, time-wise, the Silva and Aegis Prime is going to have a 35 at every second, I guess you're gonna put that. And then when it comes to the Silva and Aegis Prime, even though it says 120, due to the lack in attack speed, it actually drops it down to 90. Still pretty good chunky base, and if we look at it, it's got additional critical chance, which is massive. It's got a nice critical multiplier. Okay, the critical chance was not a massive jump, but a good enough jump to like feasibly put on body count and blood rush and not feel like totally bad about it. It's also got a jump in status and, you know, a jump in all the rest of the good stuff. So basically that's what that boils down to. I think the model looks really interesting too. Really interesting? God, I can't talk. I'm just too excited. There's so many things going on. And as for this one's polarities, I'm a little confused, just a little bit. There's like 2 D slots in there, and there's a V slot. I like the V slot. The D slots are kind of like, I don't know what happened, but alright, that's what that is. Now onto the Prime accessories. We've got the Sukira Prime signed on. I think I got that one, and I'm gonna be honest with you. This is not my favorite of the bunch, but it's definitely not my most hated. Like, everything up here I think looks pretty fucking sick. It's got like built-in horns to it. It looks so cool. And I'm just like, I wish y'all just stop like right here. Just cut this bottom part. We don't need all this extra little bit. That right there would have been dope. Super, super dope. Look at the twirling windingness. I absolutely love it. And everything from here actually looks pretty good. The fabric texture on it, even though it's a little floppy, but when we get down here, that's where I have my big problem. That's where it looks the most like a flaccid penis. Like this looks a little too heavy to be floating so delicately in the air. It's like the weight just is not quite there. So not the worst. I've seen worse, trust me. There have been worse. I will attest that to myself. But I just wish, I'm like, you just do ones that like attach here. Like it would have been cool if there were like some extra horns coming out this side. We don't need all this extra drapey, but you know what? Let them do them. That's their business. That's what they want to do. I'll make the horn Syandana. How about that? I'll go ahead and make us some horn Syandanas. But now we've also got the, what is this called? The Sugatra, which also suffers that weird, it does not look like it's the texture that it should be texture. It looks a little jellyfish-ish, but it's a cool, and the thing about it that bothers me the most is I think it would have been a cool Syandana if, like, because that dangly bit right there seems right. That dangly bit right there seems very right, but right over here, like, fabric doesn't bend like that. That's not the way that fabric bends. So, you know me, I get really picky when it gets to dangly bits, and this one could have been a little bit, you know, could have been better. Could have also been worse. Let's be real. There were some worse ones out there. So all in all, that pretty much does it for Oberon Prime. I've actually got the Zephyr stance on him right now, and I think that's probably one of my favorites. I actually tried out the Nyx stance on him, and it looked pretty fucking good as well. I don't like, you know, his base, like, boop stance. Let's take a look at that real quick. Actually, let's take a look at the Saren stance. Ooh, the Saren stance looks kind of good on him, too. Look at that. I'm kind of into it. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to customize him before I give, like, my final feelings on everything. This is just kind of, like, my initial reaction. I like the Nyx stance on him, too, because he, like, leans in and he gets all eager. So, I'm all about that. Looks all pretty good so far. I'm going to go ahead and playtest a couple things. As you know, there's some curiosities that are going on, especially with the Sybaris Prime and how that's going to perform because it got a little boost to its status chance. Actually, a pretty decent boost, like a 15% boost to its status chance. The Silva and Aegis is going to be interesting because it's quite slow. So I wonder how that's gonna move around with its actual actual stance speeds, because some of them can be pretty quick. I don't know. With Berserker, maybe it's gonna be fine. Maybe this is gonna be the one time that I use Berserker over Prime Fury. We'll see. We'll see how that works. I will get back to you with an update, maybe later on today. You'll see it. You'll see it soon enough. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. And have a, guys, you know what? Touch your body. Love somebody. Body. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.